Hey everybody, this is the Raw Food Podcast. We have JJ, we have Skye. We're both raw vegans, and welcome. We're going to be talking about the holiday season mindset. Hey JJ.
Hey Skye, thank you. Happy holidays to you and everyone out there who celebrates this holiday.
Well, a
Uh,
funny thing about holidays is in Australia, we call it like Christmas or Easter. A holiday is when we go on a trip. When we
right,
go
I
on a trip,
have
we
heard
don't
that, right?
say.
Yeah, like I'm going on holiday, right? And we call it
Yes.
vacation, right? So
Oh, they're just like little, even though we always speak English, there's
little
just little things that are different, right?
there is a couple I've noticed over the time we've been talking, but I always find it so interesting the languages, like the little things that we call a thing, both things, like you said, holiday is one meaning and holiday is another meaning. So when we're saying happy holidays, you're thinking we're saying, hey, go ahead, happy vacation,
Have both.
basically.
Have
Have
Christmas
both,
and,
right?
and go
Well,
on a
and most
vacation.
people do, right? So I can see why the names probably work for either one. Hey, Carl,
Exactly.
thank you for joining. You're so awesome to be here.
Yes. And I think this week it's just the best time to talk about this because this is the time that people struggle, with staying raw. And it's actually just come to me that the focus a lot of the time is I don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss out. But it really should be the question is, I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be sick. Like
Yes.
to me, it gets to a point where it's like a no-brainer. You do not want to finish we're not talking about like just the next day feeling a bit off. We're talking about people's health here. And that's the first reason to stay on your diet, what foods work for you, bring your food, stay true to you because that's the alternative. And I'm doing really well with my health at the moment. And truly, I was saying to mum yesterday, there's no better gift I could give myself at Christmas than my health. Really doesn't bother me how I have to eat as long
Yeah.
as I can be at Christmas Day, can sit up at the table and not be in bed. Do everything I've dreamed of. I will eat whatever I need to eat. So that's the first thing, right?
Definitely. I love that. Yeah, and it don't forget, you don't have to miss out on the connections, you don't have to miss out on the family events. Just keep it in mind that you are what goes in your body is you. And you can still
Yeah.
connect and be close to others, but we don't all have to ingest the same thing to have a good time. It's very easy when we're talking about, there are people who say, no thank you. When someone hands you something that you don't want, it's very easy, just say no thank you to it. But when it becomes like part of the tradition, in these times of years, it's a lot of comfort, it's a lot of familiarity that you have grown over the years. And I think that's more of the difficulty than even just what you're eating, because I think after a while we all love what we're eating, and it's just like you said, feel like you're missing out. So I would say do everything you can to express that connection, to be there, to have a good time, and to realize that the holidays, at least for most of us, are about being around people, and that's what makes it difficult, because it's the connection with them is what is important, and being around your friends or your family or whoever the events that you go to in these holidays. And really just remember that you are doing the kindest thing. I love that, Skye. The biggest gift for yourself is keeping yourself healthy, and other people will respect that, even if they might handle it differently, because remember, they're dealing with something psychological that they're not used to. You're taking them
True.
out of their comfort zone, saying I'm doing something different. So there are gonna be people that are gonna say, oh, come on, just this once, and have it just today, you don't have to. And I think when solidify your stance on it and say, I can appreciate that. I used to love that. This is how I'm eating now. And I love
Mm.
you, and just continue on with the connection. Don't let it come between you and another person, realizing that just as much as you're struggling out of your comfort zone, sometimes other people take a minute to get used to it, especially if you're new to this. I personally don't really deal with any of that after 7 years now. My family pretty much all knows. I do get the random questions here or there if there's someone different there, but they know that's JJ and that's what she's going to eat. So it does get
Mm.
easier. I mean, in most families. Now, sometimes I've heard it doesn't, but of course it depends on a lot of situations. But just so that you know, in my situation, it has gotten a lot easier to get my head around, and they've been able to get their head around it a little bit easier when you stand in your, conviction that that's just the way I eat now for my health. And for, if it's ethically, whatever it is, you have a right to eat how you want to. And you also have a right to be there and have fun and enjoy those connections and the holiday festivities that don't have to, include eating the same thing as everyone else. And we're all here for you. There's a
I
community
think,
of us that are doing it too.
well, that's right. But I also think parents don't want children to resonate Christmas with presents, right? So they should take that and apply it to themselves as well, as in Christmas isn't just about stuffing yourself and
Hmm.
presents. Like I remember growing up, and it's as much as I was gifted lots, is it's not about the presents, it's not about the presents. So, and I'm sure there's parents out there that still use that principle. It's about family, it's about connection, it's about celebrating religion for a lot of people, celebrating the year, celebrating like being thankful. And it's like all of that is just not to do with food and not to do with gifts. And I think they're principles that are really important. But I mean, I survived, I'm 5 years in now, and nobody around me they'd think it'd be weird if I ate cooked food. They'd be like,
Yeah,
no,
that's the
you're going to
thing.
get.
It goes the other way, right? Like something would be wrong if you ate cooked food now, probably.
That's right. But the first few years, having, like, I just posted a reel with my stuffing topped salad, having lots of mangoes because mangoes are in season. What else would I do? My sister would make like tomato, avocado, basil, these little slider things. And I
Nice.
found it really fun. Like, but it did help me cope emotionally. But, and I know everyone's in a different situation, but it did really hold true that many Christmases I was just in bed. I didn't even
Hmm.
get up the stairs. So I'm so grateful that I can do all that now. So I think that's, first off, remember like what we're actually trying to teach children about Christmas and apply that to ourselves. But we can use food to cope still. Raw food doesn't have to be boring, right? I've seen all different, there's lots of recipes that people do, not even necessarily Christmas. We had a Christmas party with like Lisa and Nate on, and she's got multiple
Oh
uh,
yeah.
4 volumes of Christmas books if you want to go all out. So there's different ways that people cope, but I do think the mindset around it going there and having to shift what you were thinking about. The other thing I do is I'm blessed. I don't necessarily have to stay this whole amount of time, but what's really important for me is the ritual when I get home. So when I get home, I usually have a shower and wash off the day. And it's at that point I start thinking to myself, this is where I would either still be drinking, feel really stuffed and hungover, and just not good. And I feel amazing. Like, this is
Yeah.
why I do this. I feel amazing. I could go to the beach now for a swim. Like, I feel amazing. Then I usually put on something really comfortable. I make my favorite dish. I do this whenever I go somewhere. My favorite dish I create in the kitchen for myself. I'll light a candle, I'll play my favorite music, and I'll be like feeling really good. And I'll be like, this is why I do it. So I have
Yeah.
like, and I've done that from the start. Like, I've done that from when I first started going places. Is I realized that so many years I would come home when I could used to go out, and I never
Hmm.
felt good. Like, now I come away and I feel amazing.
Yeah, that is so very true. I love that. And that's really remembering the reason you're doing it is because we feel so good and we've healed ourselves. Most of the people in this, a lot of people anyway, either are doing it for energy, to feel good, they've improved some type of health condition or pain in my case. And I just thought of something when I read, I want to say hi to Diane and Sherry Craves Fruit.
Yes.
Nice.
Hey,
Thank you.
everybody.
NT, N3, and Koala Mama just popped in. I was like, oh, I'll keep going on and on if I keep scrolling down, right? But Sherry brought something up where she said that, she doesn't even attend. And I think that's interesting too, because sometimes I feel like I have an easy way because I am in, like, I feel like live in a little fruit hut, or, vegetable hut, or whatever you want to call it here. Everything around me is, fruit,
I think
vegetable,
the
nuts, or
vegetable.
seeds. Me and Dawn both eat vegan. So there's not outside, like, not even temptations. I'm not tempted, but like, there's not really anything that we go out of our really routine. And I'm a big person. Like, I love routine. I'll do the same thing every day. I say hello the same way every day, even, like, I love routines. And it's not something that some people would hate it. They're like, I need something different. I need to eat something different. I need to do something different. I need to get out and this and that. I'm like, I'm perfectly happy doing my little YouTube videos, writing, and, and eating the same salad every day. Right. But some people may not like it. But in saying that, that's sometimes the holidays make us come out of that routine, and that can be all stressful in itself. And also then
Mhm.
adding to it, if you're a new raw vegan, that might be the first time that you're around other people who aren't really, maybe that aren't raw vegan. Because I mean, a lot of us work from home, and the people that I all talk to pretty much now online are either vegan or raw vegan, because you get in these communities, and then you go around other people, and it's like you come out into the matrix, right? It's like, what's going on? Like, you're around other people, and you're trying to figure out your new identity while dealing with people who remember your old kind of, in a way, identity, and letting them know, I'm still the same person. I'm still JJ. I'm still goofy. I'm still telling my jokes. I'm just eating something differently. Like that, I remember being the first couple of years, just reconnecting in a way like that. And also realizing that you are doing something so amazing for yourself. And in
Yeah.
the beginning, not everybody sees it, but trust me, if you continue to go on to this lifestyle and keep eating this way and feeding yourself good things in the mind, like, all the different facets of this we talk about, healing your mind and body, and really just celebrating yourself and not feeling bad, or being down on yourself if you don't have a perfect day. All of that, they're going to see those differences in you eventually over time too. When you go to holidays, they'll see the energy. Like, Skye, you were talking about, you couldn't even get up for holidays for a while. So I know your family has got to be so thankful that you took this path, even if it might have been difficult in the beginning.
Yeah, 100%. And I wanted to bring this up because I think this is a good question to ask. Hi, Sherry. Is because I'm in a point where, like, last year I was still unwell, not well enough. I didn't even get to Christmas, so I'd still been suffering with my health ups and downs in the past couple of years. But and this year I'm going to go, but it begs the question is, I didn't go because I wasn't well. But is there a point where we are so comfortable with ourselves that you don't have to go to an event, especially if it's causing you more anxiety than joy? And
Yeah.
for my family, I know that in truth, if I said to my family, it's just too much, they would completely understand. But I don't think it's about the other person understanding. It's kind of, you have to live with it. Will you be okay not being around that people? Is there an event you want to attend? But I do believe we get to a point where we can, you know, say no. What
Yeah,
level we say no? If it's our Christmas, right? And some
exactly.
people still want to show up for your kids, and that's your choice. You don't have to be bitter about that. It's your choice. If you want to not show up, I do think we get to a point where we don't have to. Like, maybe it's not Christmas, but sometimes I just don't go, and it's usually
Yeah.
more about my mindset. I'm just not in there, and my family is okay with that, just because they know the extent that I go to for my health. So
Yes, and
I
creating
just,
memories that you have, like, I love what you said about what your ritual is when you do come home, and I always feel like that too. I love that, celebrating it, in my own way. But if it's something that's important to you and you feel pulled or drawn to go because of family, then there is, keep your mindset strong that you know what you want to do, and you don't have to, feel bad about it, basically, because I think that's what I hear from a lot of beginners, that they just feel really different when they go into holiday situations. But I would say, it is like, I just keep going back to that, Skye, that you said it's the best gift that that you can give yourself. You're being kind to yourself, so don't feel bad about being kind to yourself in these situations. But I agree. Like, I won't go to certain things like that I used to, because it's like I don't want to be. Sometimes I don't. It's not the same anymore being around that type of event, maybe. So yeah, I agree. Keep that in mind too, that you don't have to do anything.
100%. And yet, Sherry's saying here about like she's made like a boundary, right? She knows, and her family can come and visit her anytime they want. They could come like 364 days. I know that's a lot of days, but you know what I mean? Like we put a lot on these one days. And I think it's, and this is very true as well, where as you get into it and you find yourself more, you realize like it's more than just that one day too. Like I know I say I like it because I like Christmas Day for me, but I'm in summer. So I can spend a lot of time in the water, like away. I'm actually like, I can play outdoors with my nieces. If I was like locked up, I'm not sure how long, because I know a lot of people are in winter. I'm in summer. So I don't have a holiday in winter. Easter is still quite mild. So I don't know how that feels for people. But the one thing you don't want is distress and pain, because you're healing yourself from that, right?
Hmm.
So I guess I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way to do this. I'm trying to put out different ideas for people
Hmm.
to make the choice of what you can cope with. Because a lot of people also have been unwell. And I go through periods like when I first got well, I wanted to be at restaurants. I wanted to be at shows. I wanted to be around people because I hadn't been around people for so long. And then that changed over time, where I do like going to things like Lady Gaga was fun.
Oh,
But
I'm so happy you got to go see that.
me
You looked so good
too.
too, and excited. I love it.
Yeah. So, but people should, I really think it is about coming back to what you want to do, how you want to celebrate your time or holiday.
And one of the things that's really helped me, not only like dealing with customers, like in retail, things I worked in, but like also with dealing with other people, I think sometimes we can get really defensive and defend our lifestyle to a point, like you said, it can drain us
Mm.
mentally. And I think what's so important is acknowledging what they're saying and saying, hey, I hear what you're saying. I know this is different, but here's why I'm doing this for me. If you want to, you don't have to go into all that, but that works for me because you can tell I'm kind of a wordy person and I don't mind sharing about it. Like, hey, this is what happened when I feel so good this way. I don't want to eat another way. And sometimes when people know that it's because of your health, or it's something that you are very strong in, that also creates them to understand it from a different perspective instead of just shutting down sometimes. But it all depends on you and where you're at and where you're comfortable in this part of your journey. Like early on, that's kind of difficult, so maybe you don't go to an event that you
Mm.
might be able to go to in a couple of years after you are comfortable within yourself, because it's a lot of emotions going on inside you while you're healing too.
Yeah. I'm with Koala Mama on this topic. It's like that one time. And like I think like the memory and I create, and it's a very safe space for me. But if I'm not mentally there, as I said, my family would be okay with it. I also want to bring up when some people might be high raw or whole food plant based, and they give themselves permission on Christmas Day to eat differently, because everyone's response to food is different. Some people get really, really unwell, and you've got to really think about, is that worth it? But some people, they're like, oh, I don't mind feeling a bit off the next day. And I think that's okay too. Like, I
Mhm.
think some people who are fully raw will do high raw, or they'll give themselves to be whole food plant based that day. And if you're okay with that, but it does, my greatest suggestion, if you are struggling, is to find replacement recipes for the day. Like treat it like, because on Christmas Day, there's usually a vast amount of food, right? When we used to do it. there's no different if you want to still do your raw vegan, totally, like, or your whole food plant-based, go all out, bring yourself whatever it is, no furky, or a, you know, like I did a stuffing top salad, do a little, I did some truffles, I've done that before, like, so you feel supported, because the food, as I said, I was more like that before. At the moment now, I guess the way I'm eating is just very, very simple, and I'm so grateful that I'm so well again. It's not going to
Me
bother me.
too.
But yeah, a huge support for me was recipes. As you guys know, there's so many recipes out there. I'm like most days jumping on, I've got a new recipe. And that really helped me. So there's so many different ways to do this, and you might mix and match it. But for me, the foundation is coming home and just being mentally aware of how good I feel. Like, just sitting in that space and being like, it could be very opposite to this right now. You may be in a bed and not even got up the stairs, or if you decided to go backwards, you'd right now order another bottle of wine, or you'd just be laying there beating yourself up mentally. Like, you'd be like, why did you do that? You don't feel so good. Now you're going to have to juice. Now you're going to, there'd be a whole mental game that I don't have to deal with anymore. And that is enough for me to just eat what I need.
Yes, and there's other I was gonna say too, just as ideas, even if you don't live near any other raw vegans, I love the raw vegan meetups that you do, but don't forget that you can create an event if you feel like you need that connection. Maybe you're not able to be around
Yeah.
family. We could do virtual events. Talk to a couple of the raw vegan friends or a group you're in. Some have those events, like Skye has the raw food, parties every month, and definitely get involved so that you can feel that connection if you're feeling a little more isolated in the beginning from your family, because it's just inevitable. I think we reconnect with people. And I want to say this too, for most situations, and I know there are different family dynamics, but for most of the time, from people I talk to and how it was for me, even if things are a little bit different and your family doesn't get it in the beginning, when they start to see you feeling better or they understand something's important to you, they eventually come around and get to that point with you. They're happy that
Yeah.
you are well and that you are happy and healing, and that it's something you're into. As we all grew up, we were into different little things that, our nieces and nephews get into, and we just support it, and because we're into it, because they're into it. And sometimes
Yeah.
eventually friends and family do get to that point. So, those are some other ideas. Don't be afraid to connect with the online community in any way that, you need to, or even like,
Yeah.
all of us, we're happy to listen to you and come to the lives. And I love connecting. Like, I feel like I know you guys like family, even though I'll be with family
Yes.
on my holiday, I really am always around. We meet once a week, right? And the people that I talk to in my community and my groups and online, I really feel like you can create a new raw food and vegan family.
Yes, and I haven't announced it yet, but I was announcing it this afternoon, or very soon, is Marabella and I are going live on Christmas Day. We're doing a Christmas special. Essentially, it's
Nice.
my Boxing Day, but I know most people that follow me are in the US, so it will be like, I think, 2 or 3 p.m. PST. So if you're struggling, you can excuse yourself from your family event, or you can listen and just like, because that's what it's about. Is I think it got like, that's why I love doing this, is it got to a point where all my friends are online, so it's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to argue with that, just meet that where it is. And that's what I'm very much like. I'm like, I had to be so real to stay well. I was like, you have to stay raw. You can't keep battling things. Like, I want this, I want that. You want it, Skye, you make it raw. You want friends, they're online, meet them online. Like, don't
Yeah.
get in a battle. I really was, and raw foods helps me not be in that battle anymore, because I'm so grateful, and it keeps me a clear mind, where whatever life presents me with, I dive into every positive aspect I can find about it. Because if I start cutting things up into the negatives, I just go down the wrong rabbit hole, and it gets me nowhere except drags me down. So it's like, see the positive in everything, and that takes practice. Like that, I would say mentally doing that in a world where you really don't realize how quickly people put up barriers. And a good example of that is when I healed myself originally with raw foods, and would show up to meet friends I hadn't seen in ages, like so many people, the first thing people would tell me is why they can't do raw. I think 2 people were like, oh, I'm going to try that, or I'm going to try add more raw food. There were 2 answers. I reckon 25, 30 people came straight at me with why they couldn't do it. And I was actually, because I hadn't been around people in so long, it really blew my mind. And I started to think how often we turn up to things and say we can't do them before we've even thought it through. And, you know, it's, I can't do it. I have kids. I can't do it. I'm allergic to like 2 foods that are vegetables.
Yeah.
I can't do that. There was all different reasons, but it didn't make me think about raw foods as much as it made me think about how many times in my life, Skye, may I have been presented with a way out, a way through, a good way. In fact, off the back of that, I watched a channel which everyone should check out. If I don't watch it as much anymore, but it's called Spirit Science. And I watched it when I was really sick for years on YouTube. It was my go-to channel. In fact, there's 2 videos I would have watched on there about how it's about enlightenment. It's about parable. He does parables. It's about all different religions, and he has these little cute cartoons where he explains how it all works, sacred geometry, everything to do with like spirit science. But on that, I would have watched in 2 videos that he created on raw foods, but it didn't come in, probably because I was turning up to that with why I couldn't do it. And now I like to show up to whatever I'm presented with what can I do with this? And you'd be surprised. I feel like there's always a way.
Definitely. I love that. And it's really, it's about a fear is coming out of our comfort zone. So we immediately rush for a way out of that when we feel like it's just how our brain is functioning, because we're here, like we always want to protect ourselves. So I think that's a mechanism people use when it's something that sounds scary or different. It's like I have to figure out real quick a reason why I can't do it, right? Hey Don, welcome, and Karen, thank you. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's a really, you know, I had this idea too. Somebody was commenting, I don't think I could do all raw. I can't see
Yes.
where it
Let me
went.
hang on. Here.
But I was thinking one of the ways that you could think about it is, instead of saying in my mind, I want to go all raw, try to do what you said, do as much raw as you
Oh
can,
yeah.
as much as you add, but then reduce the cook. Like if you do a salad, and let's say you have that big salad every day, and then you add a little bit of cooked food with it just to get that comfort. So you're kind of tricking your brain, and then reduce that. Like maybe you do a cup of beans, and then you do a half cup one night, and then you do a quarter cup, and just keep putting the raw food in and continuing to, like, so it's still there. And even if you did that, that's still ultra healthy if you're not in a situation like maybe Skye was, where she needed to only have raw food to heal something very serious. If that's how you're eating, like that's 100% great. Like trying to go
Oh
all raw
yeah.
can make you really healthy, because you're eating more most of the time whole food, plant-based. And you know, it's like, I think putting as much raw food as possible in really takes away that fear or that comfort of I can't get rid of raw food. Instead of thinking about getting rid of, I mean, cooked food, just think about it as you're just trying to put as much good stuff in, you know, like if we were putting it in that, like a fuel system or something.
Yes. Now, someone like Karen who's saying, I know I can't do all raw. I try by 2 or 3 p.m. Don't worry about saying you can't. You already are doing raw. If you're doing raw till 2 or 3 o'clock, you're raw. Don't worry. There's no can't there. You're doing raw. So what if you have a cooked meal on Christmas Day, or even for the next 3 years? You are going to be loads ahead of any other human being. Most
Yes.
human beings, because no one can do raw. No
Let's
one can even do
celebrate
raw for
that.
like one meal. And
Yes.
then Koala Mama saying she gets that answer too, and never ask them to do raw. Just say what I eat, and then I can't. Yeah, it's funny. Like it's that headbutt. It's like, even if we're doing, I feel like we'll go backwards if we say I can't do raw, yet we already are doing raw. It's like if you're doing even one meal, even half a day, or even half your meals across the day are raw, you're getting somewhere. Do it for as long as you need, and then your body will tell you when you're ready to move up. And as for it being cold, there's definitely ways that you can, if you choose to, do it, as in like you just do blend soups. Like the temperature we're allowed to eat, there's no difference. So we are allowed to eat raw food at the exact same temperature that other humans eat cooked food. It's just ours hasn't been blasted to 240 degrees or 100 degrees. You can heat it up to like 42. You could push it at 45 if that made it better for you. You can do soups in the Vitamix. Just don't blend it till it boils. Blend it until it's 42, 44. Humans can't eat food at 240 degrees. They have to wait till it cools all the way down. And even if your dinner is really
come
hot,
on, I can eat it at 500. I'm just kidding.
but even if your food comes out piping hot, right? You wait till it
Yeah,
cools a bit and start
that's
eating
true.
it. It's not, by the end of the meal, it's lower than 45 degrees. Like it is definitely, it goes cold. So it doesn't really apply that I have to eat cooked food. Yes, some are softer, but you can freeze it if you choose to, and then put the warm sauce through it. It'll all be soft. So you have to, I'm telling you, it doesn't mean you have to do it right now, but you have to be aware that the more you say I can't, we get locked up. Yes, chili is great. Cinnamon is great. Garlic is great.
It's
Curry
so
is
hot
great.
in my house that I don't even know that it's winter. I love heat.
Oh, really? You
Yeah,
like
I think I keep it too hot.
corner and salad. Merry
I see
Christmas.
electric bill is not a fun time for me, but you know what? I just sometimes I have to put the heater on. I can't help myself when it's really cold, but you know, it's funny. I was like, I mean, we can pretend it's summertime in here.
See, I like this. I can do about a month raw. You don't have to go back. It's all about how you see it. It's like I just go back. The more you are just like, this is where I'm at right now, I swear you're able to have this clearer mind. Can't is like when it comes to yourself and goals. I feel like by me taking that out has really helped me. Like because sometimes, like at the moment, I'm having to do like high omega-3s and keto, and I'm really well doing that. But at the end of the night, I'm trying to do it very plain and very natural, and it works for me. At the end of the night, sometimes I'll get some cauliflower, I'll do flax oil, but I'll have to sprinkle a little bit of monk fruit over the top of it just because I want a sweet treat. Do I necessarily think that's the best thing? I don't, for me, but it's where I'm at. I'm not going to argue with where I'm at, because the more I say I can't do this and I can't, those negative just pull me down, and I'm already, next minute I'm like, I can't walk. Can I really do this? And like, I've got to stay high vibe to do what I do. So I'm very much like, my rule is I won't go back to eat anything cooked, like as in hot, steamy cooked. But if sometime, and it's like I say to people, I used to, when I first started doing raw, I could do veggies and fruit and a few nuts all day, my salad that saved my life in the afternoon. And then at night, sometimes I just get stuck into the nut butter. Did I do this forever? No, but I accepted that it was going to help me stay raw. It didn't send me backwards like cooked food did. So I remember I have this vivid memory of one night not even realizing that I'd pretty much just devoured like a huge part of this nut butter. And I was like, but like I woke up the next day and I was like, okay, I didn't eat cooked food. I'm not sick. And that's just where I'm at. Like, and I never went, I can't do this. This isn't for me. We've got to stay, because it's the reason I think it's so important when you do raw is just because you're doing something nobody else is. And I'm being real here, not many people around you are going to be doing it. So when you do it, any negative words, we latch on to what everyone else is doing. Like we're like, okay, we'll do, I actually think back, and I've been really emotional just about how far I've come recently. And it makes me reflect back of how I never let go of hope. Like even in this period where raw was much better than anything else, but I was having ups and downs with my health. And I'm like really emotional at my ability to still hold on in adversity. And that is, I promise anybody out there who doesn't get the results from like Whole Foods or raw, is you're going to be doing a lot better than where you were. And over time, you'll notice things much more loudly because your system's clear. Like for me, I noticed consistently if I did flaxseed oil, my whole life ran better. I had less symptoms and I was just able to work and I felt better. And maybe it took me time to do that. And that's part of my journey. But I promise you, it wouldn't have come along if I started throwing alcohol at the fire and cigarettes and like a pharmaceutical is now going to fix me. It's just too noisy in my head. So
Oh, I completely understand. And I'm so glad that you've gotten to that space. And I think it's a journey, and I came up with the word raw inspired. And because to me, I love raw food. So whenever I eat raw food, I'm celebrating that I'm eating raw food. I don't have to necessarily think about it like I did in the beginning. But if you can start celebrating every time you eat raw food, it
Yes.
really makes a difference, because then you're not that dogma of, I don't know if that's even the right word. I tried to sound intelligent there, but I was like, whatever that is, where we put ourselves in a box that say I can't have this. The first thing we want is whatever we're saying we can't have. So don't tell yourself you can't have cooked food. Tell yourself you're trying to eat as much raw food as possible. It sounds silly, but like literally it changes how people look at it, and it becomes something that you're not fighting anymore. You're adding to your life instead of eliminating things, and eventually that really does make you want to be motivated to eat more raw, because the reason you want to eat raw, or the what, maybe you want to go all raw because you feel somewhere deep inside you that it's the healthiest way that can make you feel your best. So putting as much of that in as possible, and that way you don't have 3 days where you feel bad because, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I ate bean stew and now I feel terrible about myself because I was supposed to be raw. Well, no, the next day you get up and you're going to have some fruit, or that night you're going to have a big, huge salad, and, it's going to be like, great, I'm just eating healthy, right? So when you stop, I think that can help you, just at least in the beginning, if you're in that phase where you're moving, you're in and out of it. I think it's more of our mind resisting it, honestly, because our body obviously craves it. Because everyone I talked to that went raw, in most cases, unless they were missing some type of nutrient or something, and didn't eat it, what, like enough food or whatever. But most times people like, I felt great that month I was raw, but then I went back on cooked, right? Like, so we know our body is into it. I think it's our mind really that fights it. And that's why I think you and me really like talking about these subjects here with mindset, because there's a lot of places you can get ideas, especially on, what to eat. And we all know, like, yes, it is healthier because we see people healing, but how do we
Mm.
get our head around that? And I think it's about really remembering that as good as we're being to our body, we have to be that kind to ourselves in our mind, and start celebrating when we're winning. When we're eating raw, we just celebrate that instead of thinking about that 1 minute we didn't eat raw.
Well, I actually don't think that raw is as much about a diet choice as it is completely about someone's consciousness of self-love. So
Mhm.
you could go on raw foods, but I really feel like what makes me stay is a reflection of what's going on in my mind. So my ability to choose fresh over the absolute amount of other stuff out there is because I constantly say, I love you. This makes you feel good. It's not a choice of addiction. It's not a choice of stimulation. It's completely a choice that I love you enough to put it in. I love you enough to put it in. And so when I would think about then going backwards, because I've high vibed myself so much, is the choices, there's not that addiction choice. It's like, I'm going to do a can of lentils. And I did this at the start to stay raw because this is going to get me raw. Like, this is going to move me towards raw. And if you stay there, you make these choices, and then you don't say to yourself, you can't do this, you need lentils, because the whole self talk is about how much I love myself. And I've always been like that, into the point where I would go running along the beach, and every breath was, I love you. I love you. I love you. And what you notice about this is when things start to go bad and you've got no control, you default back to love. You may go through and have all these emotions, but because you've trained yourself so well in love, and what sits on love, the word, is a good feeling. Even if you feel bad, if somebody comes up and says, I love you, and gives you a hug, you can't help but feel something. So imagine your underlying thought. And I think this is a birth given right that we all had, but we never experienced it because the world is so consumed by how we feel based off addiction. Like, one of the most telling things when I first went raw was how much I couldn't believe that most of my life had just been stimulation. Yes, I know that everything is in the body working in a chemistry type way of stimulating the body and muscles to move. But I'm talking about overstimulation, like as in my choices in life were like I would prefer the Pepsi over orange juice because I'm stimulated. I prefer the crazy ride over the calm because it stimulates me. That kind of blew my mind. And juicing Jules, or Jules Bailey, said when she juiced for the first time in her life, she realized she'd been sober. Like there's this disconnect where we will default back to what we're very programmed to do unless we take the reins and really start feeling into like what we're given from birth, like that we should be feeling is love should be driving us as opposed to just an addiction.
I love it. Thank you, Karen. And everyone, just remember that, it is one of the most amazing things that you had the open mind enough to look into what raw foods can do and to even consume the content and to be able to then put it into action in your own life. It's like just the transition. Look at that as the win, the celebration, right? Like just that you are learning what your body really loves and that you're starting to feel better. And I think we talked about that too. That's one of the things I love is the clarity of mind that I didn't realize I had throughout, life. And that kind of, it starts to all play together. I think the raw food, the nutrients, and you start to like remove this brain fog that you've had. You're able to see things more clearly. I think you mentioned that earlier. So that happens when also you can't have like, it's almost like conflicting information if you are trying to go raw, but you're like feeling bad every other day, telling yourself you can't do it or you can't, you ate something you weren't supposed to. Just try putting as much good stuff in, and that means the mind too. Like I love that, telling yourself you love yourself. I think
You
we're
can't go
taught not
wrong
to
with
do it,
free.
right?
That's right. And it's like the mind has become so chaotic. Like if somebody is deciding to go raw and just say they're eating like a standard American diet, their mind is so chaotic. How do you like bring that back? And I know a lot of people use meditation, and I'm not great in just sitting in it. And that's probably to do with my trauma in some way. It doesn't mean that I throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? What can I do? Well, I like movement. And I know love works for me. So I make it my own. If you follow me, you'll know I very much just make my own because it's how it makes me feel good. And I'm a big advocate that everyone is supposed to do that. I believe from a soul level, if you split consciousness or God, it wants to explore like the realm, right? The reality or whatever we want to call it. And so each of us is supposed to be different to higher consciousness or to explore life more. Even if people go deep down, imagine somebody found me in my darkest hour, and I always say this is why I'm not someone who hates on people who aren't vegan or whatever their choices are, because if someone belittled me when I was where I was, it almost brings me to tears, is you wouldn't get more than shutting me down more. But if someone turned up with love, smile, and a green juice a couple of times a week without an intention other than just sharing love, I think I would have been receptive. And so that's what I do no matter where somebody is. I mean, look at me now. People could say like nice things now, but it's when somebody's in their darkest hour, and we don't know when people are suffering. Like we don't know. We think the outside
Exactly.
shows
We
it
don't
all.
know whether they're dealing
Yeah,
with pain or illness or anything, or even a life that we have never even experienced that they may be dealing with.
yeah. And people like that real battle. Do you want to be light for that person, or do you want to be that reason that I'm not saying you're going to stop them, but the reason that they shut down even more or feel more isolated, and that's based off my life and my experience. So that's why I don't think you can go wrong with love. And it's
Mm-hmm.
even like when you become so in tune with love is when someone is, it doesn't mean you have to hug the devil, like when someone's doing something wrong, but you love yourself enough to remove yourself. Like if you use love, and I've said this before, love is your compass, you really can't go wrong. But sometimes we don't know when we've gone off track. That's the other thing. But life's always teaching us.
Yes, we are constant students, right? We definitely are.
Yes.
I love
So
that.
I love that. It's like it's love always. If you don't know what to do anymore, just choose love everywhere you can. And the more you practice it, the more you just continually default. And I just think it's such a great example that I feel like it's the reason I hung on while I was going up and down through Raw, because I knew that it was the way for me. And it's a really great compass to have on Christmas Day, at Easter, when you say no or when you say yes or when you leave early. It's not because you're a bad person, it's because you love yourself and you can't be in it anymore, that situation. Or you love yourself enough to stay up a few extra hours to make a fancy Christmas Day dish, or you love yourself enough to do Raw till 2. You have to see what you're doing in the light.
And remember, like what you said earlier, in all of this that we're talking about, that's just one facet of the holiday, how we're eating. And it's so
Yeah,
much more depending on what your observation of the holiday is. I like how you compared it with gifts, right? Sometimes we get stressed, like I don't have money to get everybody something, the way it is, especially in the US with the all the advertisements. It almost presents Christmas as it is about the gifts, right? But then when you think about it, it really is a lot of what people love about it. You don't really remember a lot of the gifts that you've gotten over the years. You remember that connection, or that one time you all laughed so hard that
true.
you couldn't even breathe at the dinner table, or such and such, this is their first Christmas or something like that. So I think remembering whether it's when it comes to the raw food and maybe the trouble that you might be feeling, or the uncomfortability about being around other people, to bring yourself back to love and remembering it's about connection. And then everyone else around you usually corresponds to that, and it doesn't have to stay on the food category. You can be present without eating. And if anybody wants to show up a couple of times a week with a green juice and an I love you, I'll give you my address afterwards. That would be perfect.
It's true, right? And like, that's the other thing, is when you're healing and when you're doing self-love and when you're looking after yourself, the choice is always you first. Because if you go out of like anger and force yourself to go, is the energy you give to people is not love.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's not love at all. And that's why I'm very much like, can I go and what will I bring? I'm very
Yeah.
much about what will I bring to a place. And if I can't bring the love bubble, I ain't turning up, because
Yeah.
not
Exactly.
only will it affect other people, it affects me a lot too. And then I always remind myself that this is just the universe teaching me something. I may not know it yet. My Christmas gift may not be dropped right now, but I will learn as I go along why I had to slow down a bit, or not show up, or show up for just 2 hours and not
That's what
5
I was
hours.
gonna say. The thing about how long you're there too. Don't be afraid to cut down the time too, right? Because we were talking about that. I love what you said. Show up for a couple hours. Sometimes I'll show up inadvertently,
I'm
but
very big on
after
that too.
dinner, so you don't have to worry. Like you can strategically plan your entrance and your exit, but still share that moment or that holiday. I love that.
Also, if they're upset or angry or have negative things to say, that's a them problem. Please remind yourself that that's not a you problem. If you've been um, juicing fruit and veggies and whole foods and walks and trying to get rid of toxins from your life, and you turn up and someone is yelling at you, that's a them problem. You're doing you. Like, you have to remind yourself that. And that's, you're doing all this self-love, and you can, I love what Miranda says. I bring this up so much. My friend Miranda, she says, you're just detoxing them, very fast, and they're just projecting their toxins onto you. And I love that
Yes.
thing. She goes, I feel like a little fruit running around, and like everyone's detoxing onto me. And I'm like, that's such a positive way of like looking at it.
Yes, I think that's hilarious. I love the way she put that. And it is one of those things that it is a very difficult time of year. So in different years and in different ways and in different stages of your journey, you'll handle it differently and you'll adapt to what feels comfortable, I think, for you.
Yeah. Look,
But
before
remember,
we go,
create memories for yourself, even if it's like like we were talking about, like what Skye said, create a little ritual if you feel like you're left out or isolated. I'm gonna make this particular raw dish, or whatever it is that you want to do. You can still like enjoy your holiday.
That's right. And just before we go, I did want to say that this talk has actually reminded me that I actually think the reason I had to go so far down in my life, like with all the sickness and all the problems, and get to a rock bottom beyond belief, is that the universe is like, you're not staying without love. And that is what I can give to the world now. Like, I feel like the only reason I hung on is like little snippets of love that was still there that I wanted for myself. And yeah, so it's love. It all comes. The Christmas is about love. Family is about love. It's not about presents. It's not about food. There are options there. But if you remember love, I think that's really important.
And if you do nothing, that's great too. You can just
That's right,
have
but
your
that's
normal day.
not
Sometimes
true.
that can be easier, right? Whatever makes you feel happy and comfortable is where
Yes.
you need to be on that particular day or month. But it's been a really interesting conversation. I'm glad we did this, and I really
Me
appreciate you
too.
having me on. And I want to say happy holidays to everyone out there.
Merry
I just saw
Christmas.
sup. Does that sound cool the way I said it? That's like what's up, right? So,
Lots of love.
Sinky. Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining. Carl, you're always amazing. Thank you for being here. Karen, Diane, Don. We had quite a nice turnout here. Phil, I saw you down there, Philip. I think Karen, did I get you? And Diane, I think I'm probably reading the same. Oh, SRS, I didn't see you. Sherry, of course, thank you. N3, I'm doing
Yay.
my little read through at the end. I'm so thankful that you guys join us in the comments. So thank you. Appreciate it. I felt like we had our own holiday party here.
We did. That's what it's all about. Okay, guys, Merry Christmas. And
Merry Christmas, Skye. Or
the
wait,
next,
did you say it was Boxing Day?
yeah,
Right.
Boxing Day. Well, no. On Christmas Day, Marabella and
Oh,
I, your Christmas Day in the US will be going
that's right,
live.
because it's the next day there. I can't
Yeah.
wait. I gotta get it. I got it. I'll get it together one of these years.
But yeah, all right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone. Thank you,
guys. Love you
Skye.